Great. Welcome to another episode of African Farmer Voices, conversation that help us look at how do we unlock value within the pharmaceutical value chain, but also what learnings do we get in the different conversation and different engagement that we are part of. So last week, I had the opportunity to join the 7th Scientific Conference on Medicines Regulation in Africa that was happening in Kenya and Mombasa. And in this conversation, as I attended the conference from Monday to Friday, there are different aspects of the conference that I was engaging with people, having conversation, most importantly reflecting and asking myself, what are the advancements in one end, but also what are the key opportunities for further action and further intervention that needed to happen. The advantage of conferences being you learn from people, you engage with people as much as possible, but also then you ask yourself after the conference, what are the reflections? What are the key things that is moving us from where we are into the future that we aspire for? But also how can we make these opportunities and these learnings be democratized to be accessible to as many people as possible, but also to help people unlock value. In this particular episode of this conversation, I'm looking at it from the conversation that I had with mostly young professionals, not only pharmacists, but young professionals from different walks of life who participated. They're different countries, from different backgrounds in professional practice, but also different levels of professional maturity in the sense that some of them were still in school, some already graduated, but also some are already in practice at different levels of their early career journey and trying to map out what would that career look like for them and how do we make the best of it. And I would say that is the key essence of my conversation with you today and trying to say, how do we harness the value of conferencing opportunities and what is the key essence of participating in some of these conferences? I know traveling is a beautiful thing because then you see so much and you learn from observation and experiences that you encounter. But for conferences, especially by the virtue that they're scientific, there's much more to learn. And the only way that you're able to get value out of these conferences is by knowing what you're looking at. Over the weekend, when I mentioned that I was going to talk about this, but also mentioning that I'm going to unpack the key learnings from the SCOMRA conference, this is the starting journey because I'll be talking about the technical pieces, but also the areas that we can move forward with. But at the moment, I'm going to talk about it from a point of the reflections from the discussions with young professionals. How can they make the best of these conferencing opportunities? Not only these one that we had, but also the future one that they are going to participate in and engage in. Number one, when you look at conferences, these are gatherings and convenings where people share their research work, share their perspectives and opinions that are shaping practice in different domains and different contexts. In this particular context, it was around regulation of medicines, health products, and technologies in general. And therefore, then the question you need to ask yourself is, why do we need to regulate them? And if we know why we need to regulate them, what are the key advances that will make us regulate them the best way possible or not regulate them the way we need to? And how can we improve and strengthen this ecosystem? For me, when I look at conferencing is, I'm going to learn as much as possible in terms of knowing what other professionals, other experts are working on. But beyond that is also knowing what are the trends in the market. Oftentimes, when you look at the conferences that are coming up, for me, my preparation point, I would say cheat sheet is always to say, this is the conference, this is the different programmatic areas, and these are the conversations that people are talking about. So that is already an understanding of the high level priorities in that domain, in that area of work. After understanding the priorities and the domains, I go deeper into saying, okay, in those domains of priority areas, what are people researching on? What are they developing? What are the challenges they are contending with? Because whenever somebody is presenting something, there is a problem they're trying to solve, there is a challenge they're contending with, and therefore then they're looking for answers to address those. That is where your opportunity comes in the sense that you know what the trends in the market are, you know what questions and what problems people are contending with, but also getting to know they're thinking about how to solve that problem. It is an opportunity to critique, to engage with, but also to adopt whatever it is that they're coming up with in terms of their argument in that professional context, in that conference that you're going to engage in. I would say we need to make the best of conferences, and the essence of it is, if you know that is what you're coming into, then you need to choose which sessions am I attending, why am I attending them, what value do I help to harness out of each of them, and how do they unlock value for me in terms of where I need to move to. That's number one. Number two, beyond knowing the high level priorities, early in your career, you most likely are not clear what you're going to do in the long term. And therefore, you are still in the exploratory phase. In exploratory phase, conferences are an opportunity to give you diverse perspective, diverse pathways, and alternative verticals of what you can do, where you can do it, and how you can do it in professional practice. And therefore, then you need to ask yourself, if I've already been practicing in one line of work and I already know the dynamics of it, do I want to go deeper and deeper into it provided I've already known that is not what I want to do long term? Or do I want to expose myself to other alternative conferencing avenues where I'm going to learn different things, but I'm also going to meet different people from different backgrounds and different walks of life? There's the aspect of conformity and complacency where you're more likely to tend to be drawn to things that you already know, and therefore you will go to sessions that you are used to. It is an opportunity to use conferences, an opportunity to pivot from what you're used to and to try new things where you never knew you could get into that domain of practice or that field of work. So take advantage of conferences as an opportunity to learn things, new things, and to learn different paths and actually know what's happening in different domains. Number 3 is when people come to conferences, everybody's on a mission to network, to get to know what others are doing, to get to meet other people and all that. And therefore, your opportunity as a young professional in conferences is you have a chance to talk to people. There's a tendency to be drawn back to the people that you're already used to, people that are familiar to you and all that. I would say it is easy and more comfortable, but it doesn't give you much learning, because the question is you are likely to talk about the same social conversation that you've been having with these people, rather than stretching yourself to see what's happening in different domains and all that, which is a lost opportunity. Maybe you'll never meet that person you're meeting in this particular conference, and this is your only opportunity to say hi to them, have a conversation, and most importantly, challenge yourself to think differently and think in a different pathway. So use this conference as networking opportunities, as an opportunity to ask questions on different areas. And because of that, one of the key things that I've learned in all my career is that people are willing to talk about what they're doing, what they're good at, and what they enjoy doing. And therefore, your questioning should be more on what are they doing, what are the trends they observe in their markets, how does that affect their practice at the moment, what opportunities do they see in those areas in the next phase of work. Because then you've given that person an opportunity to talk to you and enlighten you in a field that they're good at, they are the experts in, and in so doing, you're getting to know something new you might not have known. But you're also networking and engaging with somebody you never knew you would meet in that conference, in that engagement opportunity, which is value for your professional development journey and value for your growth prospects as you move in the journey of life. That is an important piece for you as you're moving forward. Ultimately, the last and the most critical piece around your conferencing and engagement in the conference is, once you engage with people, do you follow up on those conversations? And most importantly, as you talk about following up, is knowing what are you following up on and how are you following up with them. You can get contacts, reach out to people, but if you're not reaching out to people, make it clear that your ask is already made clear that particular moment. You've had a conversation with somebody and you already know something that is of interest to you. Did you ask them for something? Did you tell them what you're looking for and what you're looking forward to? Sometimes knowing what you're looking for is the starting point in a conversation, because when you know what you're looking for, the world conspires to help you realize that aspiration. And the only way you make the world conspire to help you is by speaking it out. And this is a conversation that I had with one of my colleagues, and in the conversation was, they're looking for opportunities to pivot from whatever they're doing at the moment, but in all the conversation, they never made the ask. And by not making the ask, there's no way the person you're talking to who is actually in the domain that you love, that you want to be in, will ever get to help you in that pivot that you're hoping for. So how then do you expect to get that pivot? How then do you need to make the transition if you're not asking for what you want? I would say in our best opportunity and the best bet in making the career pivots, making the transition that we hope for, is by making the ask after you've engaged with somebody, you've understood what they're doing. Knowing is number one, but after you've known, can you make the ask and ask yourself, how do you make the best of it? And ultimately follow up and have conversation to say, okay, I'm moving in this line. They might not have the opportunity, but keeping in the loop is an opportunity to know when something opens up, they'll always have you at the back of their minds. With that said, I think this is a good starting point for us, and you ask yourself, for the conferences that you've attended, for the conferences that you intend to attend, what are you hoping to achieve? How do you intend to go about meeting new people, learning new things, understanding the dynamics in different domains and different lines of work? And how will these help you drive your career to where you want it to be? And for me, I look at careers as an opportunity for you to make the best of your professional capabilities and competencies, but most importantly, contribute to the advancement of human ingenuity, human development, and human growth in the different spheres where we're operating. I would ask you to challenge yourself and ask the same questions as you're making your move, as you're engaging in different forums and different platforms, because then we're able to move to the next frontier. In the next episode, I'll be talking about some of the key technical domains of work that we discussed during the conference. And as I'm sharing that, I'm hoping that we can build this community together with you. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Subscribe to the channel. Let's build up this movement and let's build a community we aspire to drive growth in Africa's pharmaceutical industry. Thank you and have a good one.